Last time I think he was on anything to do with this studio was with you and Amy for What the Football, right, Sis?
And he was a magnificent guest, as Amy would say.
Well, because he is just magnificent. Completing the tradition unlike any other, despite having the PGA Championship happening as we talk. The great Jim Nantz from CBS. Good to see you, Jim. How are you?
Hello, friends and family. Yes, last time I was on this show, I had the pleasure of being able to talk to Suze and Amy, and we had a ball. We didn't miss you at all, Rich, but I am so happy to continue this tradition of the day after as we go through all the different permutations from schedule release night. That was some piece of video, by the way. I was just watching.
You're at the Chiefs going through this.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those games are you calling? You're calling a lot of them, right?
I've got probably 5 of them at least. 8 Chiefs games are on CBS during the season. So let's go through it. Week 2, yes. Week 4, yes. Possibly week 10. Week 11, yes. Right now, week 12, believe it or not, that's our primary game on a regional week is KC at Carolina. And then probably the game at Denver on week 18. Who knows? That's a crapshoot. But I just rattled off 5 that I would say are pretty certain.
Yeah, right. And because, again, there's a lot of days of the week that the Chiefs are playing on. They're playing on 6 days of the week. The last team to do that were the 1927 New York Yankees, which used to exist in this sport. So they're really all over the map. They're all over the days of the week, and so it's quite a gauntlet because you know how teams and coaches do not like anything out of the ordinary, anything that busts out of the routine. And so you see this schedule for the Chiefs, and there's 4 short weeks. They're playing on every day but Tuesday. It's kind of unique, Jim, and you know what it takes to three-peat since you called a ton of Brady games back in the day as well, you know?
Well, as you know, we've never seen in the modern era a three-peat. So in the NFL, I'm sure Andy Reid is not happy with that schedule, particularly as you get late in the season. You mentioned it, the Saturday, the 21st, to have a game against Houston, and then to turn around and play on Christmas Day for the second straight year, by the way. They play on Christmas Day. Tony and I were there for the Raiders at KC on Christmas Day this past season, but then they'll be at Pittsburgh this year. That's not going to be a whole lot of fun. I would think that this is not something that would be ideal for Kansas City. Everybody's out to get them, they get everybody's best shots. And, it's all about, particularly late in the year, it's about recovery time. How do you get your body healthy after all the pounding of months and months of being able to stay upright all that time? And then you've got, I don't know, we'll see, listen, the stats show that the frequency of injury does not go up with a shorter week. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about rest more than anything. Just the rest to be able to be at peak performance. But listen, they're the Chiefs. They figure it out. They really do. And we'll be gratefully there to see a lot of those games unfold.
Yeah, again, you got Bengals at Chiefs in week 2, and then you mentioned Chiefs and Chargers. I don't know how many broadcast meetings you did with Jim Harbaugh when he was in San Francisco, but just the fact that he's back in the league and back in this town here in Los Angeles and bringing his style of play to the AFC West, that is just going to be dynamite, Jim. I look forward to that game myself, and I'm wondering about you.
I do too. The Chargers really intrigue me. I don't know what our week 1 assignments will be. It's a regional week. Fox has the doubleheader with Dallas and Cleveland. Our crew, I'm sure, if we took a vote right now, and again, I'm at a golf event, so I haven't had a chance to powwow yet with Romo or Tracy or Jim Rickoff, our producer, Mike Arnold. But I think all of us would be unanimous in wanting to have Harbaugh's debut. It's a 4:05 game, hosting the Raiders. Because to me, there's going to be week 1. What are the biggest stories? I'll give you the 4 biggest stories week 1 in the NFL. Here you go.
Go for it.
You've got the Chiefs opening What does that look like in the game against Baltimore? The fact that the league's going to be playing in Brazil, and that's a very sexy matchup with Green Bay and Philadelphia. That's 2. 3 is going to be the Harbaugh debut, and the 4th is going to be the Brady debut in the booth.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 biggest stories, I think, going into week 1 that everybody can't wait to see.
Yeah. I mean, and that's going to be Brady, as you mentioned, between Dallas and Cleveland, in Cleveland. Yeah. I'm with you with that Raiders and Chargers game, Jim. I was just talking before you logged in from Valhalla there that it's going to be interesting to see the crowd, which has been very Raiders heavy anytime there's been a Raiders game in Los Angeles. And Harbaugh will, I think, put a calling card on the table here that he's going to bring a style of play, and Antonio Pierce got the gig, you could say, clinched on that Christmas Day with you and Tony in Kansas City, right? I mean, with that,
absolutely,
where they just hit the Chiefs in the mouth, and it was the last time the Chiefs lost last year. I'm with you. I'd put my marker on that game too, if I were you. You know,
it's funny. You remember, you're so good about remembering some of these details, but the game was a pretty big line in favor of Kansas City. And if you would have been told that the quarterback for the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell, that day did not complete a pass the last 3 quarters of the football game, and that they would win at Arrowhead, you would have believed it, but they did. And yes, that game sealed the job for him. I don't have any doubt. But it's a new time in Charger land. I don't think there's any doubt. We all know he's going to succeed. We all know that he knows how to win. He knows how to construct and be the architect of a winning program. There's no doubt. We've all been kind of waiting for that to happen. He's got that prize, Jim, in Justin Herbert. Love the kid. Love his game. I think that, in fact, I think our crew might see them not only week 1, that's questionable, but we for sure will see them week 4 with the Kansas City game, and probably week 3, which is a regional game, Chargers at the Steelers. Looks like to be the best 1:00 game on our schedule week 3. So we might get very familiar with the Chargers early. And I expect most times you get a coaching change, you think, hey, give him a couple of years, go through the process. If you look at Harbaugh, his record, he wins right away. I expect that's going to happen this year too.
Jim Nantz here on the Rich Eisen Show. Also, again, you're a Houston guy, and they have something going on, Jim, and I'm not telling any tales out of school, but the Texans seem to have a unicorn at quarterback. I don't think last year was an outlier at all. And I'm wondering, what are people in that town saying now that the Texans are coming off of an AFC South championship with CJ Stroud? They get Stephon Diggs coming to them now to add to the mix. And maybe you're going to start calling more Houston games than you're used to calling on CBS.
Well, it won't be this year. The way the schedule worked out, it was not Houston-centric in our national windows, I'm sorry to say. It's just there's a lot of mouths to feed. So there's going to be situations like that where you don't get everything that you want. No one does. Our main event with Houston for our crew would be Houston at Green Bay, week 7. Sunday, October 20th is going to be our primary regional game. You see on the schedule Buffalo on October 6th. That's a doubleheader day on CBS. That will be going to a great part of the country as our lead 1:00 game. Romo and I will be in LA that day out visiting you and have the Rams and Green Bay at the Rams. But the Houston team, there is some magic. There's no doubt. And that city is such a football town. They're stirred to a frenzy about this. And, yeah, I mean, Nico Collins somehow gets lost in the mix. The guy's really good. Tank Dell will be back, ready to go. He's, as you know, he got injured. He had, a scary off-the-field incident about a month ago. But CJ Stroud is a star. And although they're not featured prominently on our air, they are given 6 national windows this year. 6. So the league sees what's coming. And just like I'm accustomed to a heavy diet of New England, of course, you got to start winning championships. But I mean, I did over 100 New England games during the Brady Belichick era. And now I feel like I'm living in Kansas City a good part of my year. But I think we're going to see Houston a lot. And that would make me very happy in the years to come.
One that jumped off the schedule to me for CBS, Jim Nantz, the 10th of November, week 10. You know what? Like, this is old school Summerall, Brookshire CBS days here, right? Like,
I love it.
Like Philly at Dallas. How about that one, Jim?
Yeah, that's not one in the old days, you'd be accustomed.
Yeah.
I say old days, the current old days.
Right.
But as the AFC network, it's unusual to get such a choice game out of what, in theory, is part of the Fox lineup. But to get Philly at Dallas, it's definitely one of the gems on our calendar. And the very next week, as you saw, we've got KC and Buffalo again. So we got back-to-back blockbusters right there at 425. I'm thrilled to have Philly Dallas. Back in the super old days, you're talking the summer old days when I was the number 2 play-by-play guy. I saw that game. I had that game. I had Dallas Philly a few times. So it's always, the stakes are high. You know it's going to be meaningful when they meet in November. That's our only Dallas game on the CBS schedule. There's usually a couple, but you're just one. But it's a good one. That's a really, really appealing game.
Before I let you go, Jim, you got 2 cents on how Brady's going to do? Again, I know it's another network and it's not your table, but you are somebody who sits next to a quarterback who just slipped right into the role of being an analyst and being on a major broadcast like Romo, and you know Brady. So I'll give you the floor on what you think is, as you even pointed out, is a storyline for an NFL first week.
Yes, it is, because he's Tom Brady, and I know Tom extremely well, as do you. He's a friend. I've talked to him as he's started to enter this journey and how to prepare and kind of behind the scenes look at how this should all work. I know that you're aware of these. Talked to a lot of people in our industry just to pick some brains about what the process is like. He's got a curious mind. He's got a work ethic that's second to none. And I think he'll do very well. I don't have any doubt about it. He'll do really, really well.
And I guess
he doesn't know any other way. He doesn't know any other way. He'll figure it out, and he'll get that sense of timing. I trust he'll probably do a few practice games in August, and by the time they get going, he'll be ready. He definitely will be ready.
And before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the current leaderboard for the PGA Championship, and Xander Schauffele with a 9-under par first round. And there's Rory trying to get to 6 under with Tony Finau before he gets off the course. How do you handicap the PGA Championship that you'll be calling on CBS this week?
Well, thank you for that. We're off to a great start here. The round by Xander finished about 20 minutes ago. His round of 62 matches the lowest round in the history of major championship golf, which has only been around for 164 years. No one's ever shot lower than what he shot today. It's the 4th time someone's shot 62, and he's got 2 of them. He shot 62 in the opening round last year at LA Country Club in the U.S. Open. So this is a little bit of a repeat. What we had last week, for those who were following it, was McIlroy and Schauffele tangled all weekend at the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow Club, with Rory prevailing. And they're both off to a great start here today. So a lot of birdies, soft conditions, second major of the year in golf. Scotty Scheffler hasn't even teed off yet. So we got a long way to go. But, man, it looks like it's going to be fun. And this place has a history, Rich, of producing some epic moments. For example, Tiger Woods in 2000 battling Bob May, extra holes. Everything that's happened here at Valhalla has had high drama and memorable finishes. Their highlight reel here is pretty impressive, and I think they're ready to add another seminal moment.
But for the way that Scheffler's playing, for somebody to just say, I put up a 62 before you even taken the first tee, that's a heck of a number to post and sit in the clubhouse before Scheffler even pegs it up.
It's a great point. He's the one guy that can be pretty mentally resilient to that. He won't even look at it. That could really bother some people to know, my gosh, I've already got a lot of shots to make up. But it's only Thursday. And if he goes and shoots anything under par, he will be just fine. And I expect he will. The biggest question is, what kind of shape is this game in? He and his wife, Meredith, had their first child 8 days ago, a little boy named Bennett. So has he been able to somehow balance that in his life, being a dad and all the joy and excitement that comes with that, at the time you want to spend those first days, and maybe sleep deprived, who knows? He hasn't played since he's won his last 2 starts, having won the Masters and the week after at Hilton Head. So I'm very excited about it. It's a great week. They got the schedule release. I get all geeky about the schedule release for whatever reason. I can almost memorize it within a day. As you can tell, I'm rattling off a lot of these games and dates and weeks. I've already pretty much absorbed it and processed it, and now I got to turn my attention to a little championship and major championship in golf.
How cool is that? Awesome. I'm not usually a name dropper, but when Susie and I went to the Hollywood Bowl and saw the quartet of Nate Bargatze and Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Gaffigan and Sebastian Maniscalco, sitting right there in front of me was your buddy Fred Couples, who looks frozen in time, Jim. Frozen
Yes.
in time.
Well, he's the greatest friend you could ever have. He's just an all-world human being, and we've known each other a long time, since he was 17 and I was 18, and I love him to death. He'll be watching every single minute of this PGA Championship. He doesn't compete on this tour anymore at this level. Plays a little bit of Champions golf, but I'm extremely proud to have been able to share the journey with him. And he keeps saying, he hasn't done it, he keeps saying, I'm coming out, I'm going to hang out with you and Tony for a couple of games this season. So, Freddie, if you're listening, and there's a pretty good probability he is, I'll call you the next few weeks, and we'll start circling some games on the calendar.
I love it. Well, he should only do it since he's the one who told you to knock on Don Allmeyer's door when you were just trolling around the Houston Open, right? And he said you might as well just knock on his door and see if you want to work in the business. And now look at you, Jim. You know
what? That's impressive that you can pull that one out of a file in your head somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Rich. That's impressive, but that is true. And I guarantee you that when you tapped him on the shoulder and he turned around and saw it was you, he got the biggest thrill in the world out of having a chance to visit with you, because he is a sports fan and a fan of our industry and people that call it.
Well, it was good to see him, and it's always great to see you. And hopefully you're enjoying the cranberries chocolates that Sue sent your way, Jim.
Incredible, Susie. That was above and beyond.
Jim,
That
you
really
are
was.
above and beyond. Are you kidding? It was my pleasure. Aunt Liz.
Let's do it again.
You did say that you would be our first guest of the fall, so I didn't forget that. I have a return label for you with double the cranberries. If
There you
that
go.
Happens.
I'm in.
Deal.
Have a great
Okay.
cast, Jim. Be well.
I'm actually heading to the booth right now for a little cameo here on the Thursday coverage, and I hate to go. I want to stay on the show a little bit longer, but I'm being called.
No, got it. Take care, Jim. Thanks for the time.
All the best, you guys. Thanks, man.
There you go, Jim
Thanks,
Nantz, continuing
Thanks,
the new
Rich.
tradition unlike any other, which is coming on this program after the schedule's released. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.